Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on this Lenten Friday. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Busy show. Preston Guy talking LSU football in 15 minutes. Chris Demui talking baseball in 30 minutes. A big one between LSU and Florida at the box. We'll also preview that one from Florida's side at the bottom of hour number 2 at 2:30 with Nick Delatorre, our friend from over in Gainesville. This is a national championship rematch in the box this weekend. And speaking of that, the defending national champions embark on their quest in the NCAA tournament over at the PMAC 2 hours from right now. That is, of course, the Lady Tigers of LSU. Patrick Wright on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network and joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Patrick, how are you?
Hey, doing good, Hunt. It is March Madness. You can feel it in the air here. Traffic coming into the PMAC. So, hey, what else would you expect?
You would expect very little else. I got a buddy that just texted me that his parents are pulling the double dip. They're going to see the girls at 3, and they're headed over to the box to see the guys at 7. So it's a busy day on campus.
You know, and these really are the golden ages. I hope everybody appreciates it, because what we're living right now is the best, is as good as it can get.
No question about that. I know that the ladies have had 2 weeks off since the SEC tournament to get ready to go. There were some bumps and bruises along the way going through that SEC tournament. So how do they stack up health-wise today?
Well, all appears to be good. Probably the best news is that last year POA went through full practice the last 2 days. I thought maybe she'd come back and be limited, but she was a full participant in practice. And, I don't know if we expect 25, 30 minutes out of her today, but anything you get, certainly more than we thought we would get, as recently as a few days ago. But all the other ones are healed. Angel Reese's foot is good. Anissa Morrow's black eye is gone. It's back to normal. And then Michaela Williams' foot is good. So they're, after those 2 weeks on a very physical SEC tournament, I think we're in as good a shape as you could possibly have hoped for right now.
Let's talk about last year POA's development over the course of this season and what her impact is on the game, including what that does to Haley Van Lith when she's in there.
Well, it takes a lot of pressure off of Haley to bring the ball up all the time, and it allows Haley to play the off guard, which it's just her natural position. She works so well without the ball. She's good at catch and shoot. She's good at just kind of finding the right place to be, and POA has become very good at getting her the ball. What it also, watching this Louisville team play right now, they're blasting Middle Tennessee State, which kind of surprises me. But Louisville is going to team, if LSU can win and get to play Louisville, POA is going to be a big part of that, because LSU is going to need a couple different players to be able to bring the ball up. It's the team that kind of gets after you on defense.
Kim Mulkey last year kind of tamped down expectations within the media as the season progressed. This year, I heard a lot of fight in her after that SEC tournament final against South Carolina, saying, you're going to beat us, you're going to have to play really well because we're playing some of our best basketball. Yeah. What does she see? What do you see? And what does that mean when that they're playing their best basketball right now?
Oh, they're defending exceptionally well. I mean, it went from January was a month of, culminated in the loss up at Mississippi State where we gave up like 78 points. If you had spoken to me at that point and said, hey, what's our prospect for the future? I said, if we play like this, we'll be lucky to get out of our own regional. Well, the month of February was when this team came together defensively. They're playing probably as good defense as any team that she's had here in her 3 years. They're helping each other. They know where the other's going to be. They just kind of, that week off after Mississippi State, they figured it out, and they are locked in defensively, and nobody really has had their way with us until Ole Miss in the SEC tournament, a big long run of opponents, shot well below 40% in every game. So I think she knows that her team is going to score. The question was going to be, would they defend? And I think she feels, without saying it, those words that you're hearing her say are her expressing confidence that we are good enough defensively to make a run.
We know if this team's going to accomplish what they want, and that's 6 wins, you're going to have to do it with 3 straight back-to-backs with just 1 day between them. Depth, where are they as far as depth goes right now?
Yeah, I'm honestly not that worried about it because we played 7 all year. Everybody's healthy. If you get that day off in the middle here, you don't have to do back-to-back like SEC tournament. I really think we're fine. I mean, if you look around, I've been looking at some of the box scores, even from the men's games. A lot of teams right now are playing just 7 and 8. The rotations get real tight this time of the year, so I'm not that concerned about it. Janae Kent has come off the bench and given LSU some good defensive minutes when she's had to fill in for somebody in foul trouble. So if you stay healthy and stay out of foul trouble, I'm okay with where we are.
What do we know about Rice?
Well, they lost 5 in a row going into their conference tournament, and then they rattled off 4 in a row. They were the 10 seed in the American Athletics their first year in that conference. And just kind of looking at their number, nothing at all jumps out. They only give up about 62 points a game. They're pretty good on defense. They don't score a lot. They've got 3 kids averaging 11, 12, and 13, but they weren't the ones who did the damage in the tournament. They had a lot of kids averaging 6, 7, and 8 points a game had big conference tournaments. So they're a hard team to peg. They about even on rebounds. They don't force a lot of turnovers. There's nothing really that jumps out about them. They just figured out a way after a 5-game losing streak to be a 10 seed and rattle off 4 wins in their tournament.
Talking with Patrick Wright, voice of LSU women's basketball. They get underway here at 3 o'clock. You mentioned that Louisville is hammering Middle Tennessee State right now inside the PMAC. So what do we know outside of that nugget that you gave us a little earlier about this Louisville team? Certainly Haley Van Lith knows a lot about them.
Yeah, it's 35-20 right now. There's about 5 minutes to go in the first half. What is really odd about them, when you draw them as a 6th seed, and their last 12 games, they've gone win-loss, 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 12 straight games. Their last game was a loss. Looks like they're going to get a win today. So they've been inconsistent. They played in a very good league. But what you cannot discount is it's a school and their head coach, Jeff Walls, who has taken them to the Elite 8 5 straight years coming in. So even though they lost Van Lith and they haven't had as good a year as they have had, they've got a coach who knows how to get his team beyond the second round. And that's, to me, what would be the most frightening thing about them.
Whenever I watch this team, I see the emotion that they play with, and I see that a lot of times from Angel Reese, and she was pretty fired up after that South Carolina game and at the podium a couple of weeks ago. What does she mean to this group?
The heart and soul. I mean, that is she is so smart, though, basketball-wise. If you take a little while, to watch her just away from the flow of the game, she's constantly coaching her teammates. When she was in foul trouble in the South Carolina game in the tournament, she was down on the bench directing people where to go and telling people things. I mean, not only is she, the emotional leader, but she's the coach on the floor. And the kids look up to her. They respect her. They trust what she's telling them. And we have a lot of kids with good basketball IQ, but I think Angels is even above what you would expect from just a player. So they're the one that our players look to. She's the one that players look to when times are tough. She's the one there telling them, hey, let's dig in, let's do this. She was helping Coach Mulkey with Janae Kent, in the Ole Miss game. First time she'd been in a late game situation. And Angel's over there saying, hey, look, freshman, we got you. Just do your thing, we got you. So that's what she is. She's like a player coach in a lot of ways.
They're going to need some minutes from Del Rosario at some point, and some good ones. Angel has gotten in foul trouble here or there.
Yeah.
We know that. Where is she right now?
Well, she had a rough game against Auburn in the tournament, but you throw that out, most of her other appearances have been really good. She'll give you 10, 12 minutes. At 6'6", she'll at least kind of get in the way. She'll, affect things in the middle. She, when Angel was in foul trouble in the South Carolina game, Del Rosario held her own against Cardoso the final 4 minutes of the half, and the lead stayed about where it was. So, I mean, you don't expect her to score double figures, but just clog things up for a little while, buy some time to give your post players a rest, and you've done your job.
You've seen every dribble, or is there a thing or two that you're looking for after this team's had 2 weeks off in the ball game today? We know that the Tigers are significant favorites today, but is there a thing or two that you'd like to see?
Well, the last 2 times we played first round, Jackson State gave us a whale of a battle here. And then last year, it took about a half and then some against Hawaii to kind of shake off that that 2 weeks rust. And that's the thing that worries me a little is I love the 2 weeks off because it gets your team healthy and it gives you a chance to work on yourself. What scares you is how long does it take to kick the rust off the engine? And the last 2 years, it's taken a little while. So if we can get off to a good start today, I will be very encouraged.
Have a great call, Patrick. It's going to be a full PMAC. Everybody will be watching. We are fired up for it. Hope to get off to a good start today and enjoy it.
All right, Hunt. Appreciate it. Thanks.
He's Patrick Wright, voice of the LSU women's basketball program. Should be a full house inside the PMAC today at 3 o'clock, and they're a significant favorite. We anticipate that they should be able to get it done, although he did mention Jackson State gave LSU all they wanted a couple of years ago in the PMAC, so we'll see what today holds, and it sounds like Louisville in control of the early game, and that would be the matchup coming up at the end of the weekend. So that's a good start for us here as we get things rolling on a Friday. Remind you to get by Corks for lunch if you're observing Lent, staying away from meat. How about some delicious crispy fried catfish, some also awesome jumbo gulp shrimp. Got the shoestring fries as well. Got your crawfish etouffee. They've got your stuffed baked potato. They got it all over there at Corks. So get on by Government between Foster and Jefferson. Great drive-through experience. If you're headed out to campus to tailgate for some baseball as well, Corks is a great option for you. On this Friday, they bring you our Friday shows each and every week. We'll take a time out. When we come back, we'll chat with Preston Guy about some LSU football as they've been back on the practice field this week. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Check them out online. Give them a call. Boudreaux's Electric. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing you're not going to have to deal with power outages. We know they come during hurricane season. We know they come during those summer storms. We know they come in the ice storms, as we saw earlier this year. You can avoid all that with a Generac generator from Boudreaux's. They are a certified Generac dealer, a premier Generac dealer, and the top 3% nationwide in terms of Generac sales. Don't go anywhere else. Boudreaux's Electric should be your stop. You can give them a call at 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. They'll come out. They'll take a look at your home or your business. They'll assess your needs, and they'll get you in the generator that you need. It's 985-397-1562. That is Boudreaux Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Right, Radio Hours return, previewing LSU, Florida, and the Lady Tiger basketball team starts dancing. We'll preview at 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Big congrats to T-Bob Hebert. Just saw coming across the old Twitter feed, Louisiana Association of Broadcasters have dubbed T-Bob Young Professional of the Year.
I don't understand that. How is he the young professional?
He's like 35. That's a young professional.
That's young?
What should be the cutoff, 30?
I mean, I'm 27. I feel like the cutoff should be 30 or maybe I think it's got to be 30.
You just trying to angle to be a young professional of the year?
Well, no, I definitely not, but 35 to me.
Not.
I mean, what
It's like Andy Bernard on The Office. Somebody's got a case of the deafenes.
Yeah. No. You start your career at like what, 20, 21?
24? I mean, unless you're like a surgeon or something, you got to go to school until you're 30.
Right. So then at that point, you're in your career for at least 10 years, like 5 or 7 years, and you're still a young professional.
How about this is the cutoff? If you still play a lot of video games, you can be young professional of the year.
Okay, well, in that case, T-Bob definitely qualifies.
There we go. See, we got it all straightened out. Let's head out to the Jim's Fire Hotline. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com is our guest talking a little LSU football. Preston, would you consider yourself a young professional?
Yeah, look, man, I'm 32.
Okay.
I'm still – look, here's the deal, man. Nobody really gets a career going until they're like 25. You know, like your first job out of college, like, okay, are you really doing anything? So once you account for that, you've got a very tight window. Okay, so basically only people in the first 5 years or so are eligible. What are we doing here? No, under 40 and shut your mouth.
T-Bob's under 40, and he's got a great suit on today, looking good at the LAB Awards. So shout out to T-Bob for winning Young Professional of the Year. All right, let's talk some football. A couple of weeks ago, I asked you what you'd seen out of practice that we hadn't gotten out there yet. I'm assuming at this point there's been a couple more availabilities. Have you been able to see some practice thus far?
Tomorrow will be my first day out. You know, yeah, I'm looking forward to see him. I mean, look, I see all the video and stuff like that. It's just one of those things. You know, Mike Scarborough. You know, he handles that during the week a lot of times, and then, you know, he wants his Saturday off, so he sends me in.
I understand that very well. Where are your eyes going first?
Man, first thing first. How about center? DJ Chester. I want to see how he's handling. I mean, he's the one guy stepping up in a new role, and, man, that's such an important position because, you know, that offensive line is going to have to be a strength of the team. The tackles are about as good as you can get, but you got to get some interior blocking for that running game. And then we'll switch to the other side of the ball. Can you get a batted ball in the air? It's like every time the LSU put out a video of, I think, Ashton Stamps breaking up a pass from Ricky Collins, and everybody's applauding it like, oh, my God, I haven't seen that in a year. So we'll do that. How about center and DB? Corey
Raymond saves the day. Let's talk about that offensive line a little bit. Considering what Brad Davis inherited when he got here at an awkward time, albeit, to what that group is now, what can you say about that transformation?
Man, remember in 2021 when the offensive line was so bad?
Yes.
And people were half people wanted to just run Brad Davis out of town, and I think the other half were like, well, this isn't really his offensive line he's built. He really just got here. Well, I think people are glad they were patient now. I think that offensive line he inherited was more of a system of bad recruiting, not necessarily recruiting classes that ranked low, but, I mean, how many times have you heard me talk about composition of your recruiting class is so important, man. I mean, you had a stretch where it was like 3 straight years where you're signing 3 or less offensive linemen. Like, you shouldn't ever have a class where you have 2 offensive linemen coming in. Your class should more or less reflect an entire football team coming in every year, starting 22. So now, in the last few years, I mean, he signed 6 last year. They signed 4 or 5 the year before, 4. I mean, they're averaging at least 5 guys a year, and I think we're paying some strong dividends. And boy, he's got just strong linemen coming in after strong linemen. Weston Davis is a guy I'm looking forward to see working out in fall camp. We won't get to see him for spring ball, but he's a guy who's very athletic. He's actually dominating on the basketball court right now. He's doing very well, very agile.
No question about that. Will Campbell, I remember being so taken aback when, like, 2 weeks into his first spring as an early enrollee, Brian Kelly's like, yeah, he's the left tackle. We'll figure the other stuff out. Like, I just don't ever recall that happening. Where does he rank in terms of the guys that you've seen come through this program?
Oh, man, off the top of my head, I can't think of a better left tackle. I'm sure maybe there's one that's up there. Like, maybe Lyle Collins. He's probably a little bit better than Lyle Collins, though. I mean, he's just a rock. Andrew Whitworth, I'd have to go back and say that's the last guy who I could confidently say was probably better than him. And even that, like, Andrew Whitworth really peaked in the NFL. You know?
And to the opposite side of that is Saron Black was a phenomenal left tackle at LSU, and then his knees gave out and he wasn't able to play in the NFL. But that's a guy who held that spot for a long time and was on a national championship team too. Yeah,
I believe because of him, they actually changed the rule where schools can take out an insurance policy on a player who doesn't go pro. Because, I mean, he had first-round money, was looking all at him, and then he just tore up his knee and was never the same player again. It was a very sad story.
Yeah, no question. But he did get some hardware, and he was a great LSU Tiger for sure. Does the offensive line's play change because of the style of the quarterback going from Jaden Daniels to Garrett Nussmeier?
It better because your running game is not going to be, quarterback runs and scrambling. I mean, you're going to have to get a little down and dirtier in the trenches. You're going to have to do some more guard pulling. You're going to have to do some different stuff in the running game. Pass blocking, I don't see it changing all that much. I mean, especially the way you coach it up. It's pretty much all coached the same. They may call some quicker pass sets or longer pass sets based on whatever, but the protection doesn't change in pass protection all that much. And Nussmeier is not a statue. It's not like you're sticking Zach Mettenberger out there either. They time him at practice. He said, I think he said it was 21.63 miles an hour. They clock him out at practice, so he can move. He is not a statue by any stretch. So, no, I don't think it changes that drastically in pass protection. Running, though, they're going to have to because they're going to have to get more to a traditional running game because 5 ain't back there to rush for 1,100 yards this year.
No doubt about that. Who do you think are the first 2 corners right now?
Oh, boy, that's probably Taviano and Zy Alexander when he's back and healthy.
How many corners do you think realistically they have on the roster that might play? I mean, they have tons of numbers, but it's just a question of, like, who can do this?
Yeah, I think they have something like 20 defensive backs on the team. Actually, I had it tallied up the other day, and it's like, that is unbelievable. To say that 10 have a legitimate shot of playing is not a stretch of the imagination, in my opinion, because if you look at it, it is kind of a logjam at the top. It's a lot of guys who are fighting with each other. I mean, can you really say with a certain of a doubt who's better, Sage Ryan or Taviano right now?
No.
I couldn't. There's a lot of guys like this, but I'll say this. Come fall, I'd say the lower that number is, the better you're doing. If you can roll out there and you've got 5 DBs on the field and you know who your 5 are, that's a good sign. I mean, you figured it out and they're playing well.
What are you hearing about what LSU may be able to do at defensive tackle in the transfer portal?
Well, it's quiet right now, but there's a couple guys that are starting to pick up offers, but I'm not seeing any, superstar bail the program out kind of guy, getting like a Jaden Daniels was in the portal. But I think I think we'll see as time goes on. I do think they're going to get someone there. I don't see any way where they go over on that position, and they're already shooting out offers right now. So I think we'll see. But right now, there's not really a hero to the program that I've seen in the portal at defensive tackle.
I don't know if they need a hero. They just need bodies. They need somebody that can put some pads on and hit somebody and let Harold Perkins and Greg Penn run. That's
you got any eligibility, Hunt?
Fresh out. My clock started in 2006, and we're out of time. But I'm still a young professional, I think. So we'll
if only Glenn Dorsey wasn't there, you would have had a camp.
That's exactly right. He was there the majority of my college career. So those are the breaks. Didn't have a chance to get out there and play some football. Enjoy the football tomorrow, Preston. We appreciate some time.
All right, Hunt. See you next week.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every single Friday. Some scores from March Madness. Northwestern and Florida Atlantic are locked up in a tight one. In fact, they're going to overtime. Florida Atlantic got it all the way back. They were down, I think, double digits and got it all the way back. They'll go to overtime at 58. Colgate and Baylor, 5 minutes left. Baylor has a 20-point lead in that game. UAB and San Diego State are playing in the East region. San Diego State up 11 in that one with 4.5 minutes to go. Marquette up 5 on Western Kentucky halfway through the first half. That is all of your action that is currently ongoing in the NCAA tournament. As we talked with Patrick Wright at the top of the show, the LSU women's basketball team will start their NCAA tournament run coming up in an hour and a half at 3 o'clock. So stick with us. We're going to come back. Chris Demouy going to be with us talking LSU and Florida baseball. Big game one tonight at 7 o'clock. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. and backed by the one-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings.
On Monday's OTB, recap March Madness, as well as the Tigers and Gators battling in the box. Did Jim get it done in New Orleans? Did the ladies whole serve at the PMAC? And a brand new weekend winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Northwestern Wildcats up 6 halfway through overtime, 2.5 minutes to go in that one. Curious to see if Northwestern does win this, if Dusty Mays names services for some of these open jobs here pretty quickly. He's obviously had a great run with FAU to the Final Four last year, and then has got him back in the tournament as an 8 seed again this year. Northwestern hits another bucket. They're now up 8, and it's getting late on the Florida Atlantic Owls. LSU and Florida tonight from the Box National Championship Series rematch, 7 o'clock. It'll be Luke Holman for the Tigers, Cade Fisher for the Florida Gators. We're talking about it here with Chris Demui, former Tiger Southpaw and national champion, who we chat with every single Friday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Demui, how are you?
Doing good, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing really well. I'm fired up to get in the box tonight. It should be a lot of fun. I asked Chris Blair this question yesterday, so I'll toss it to you. We can, rekindle some flames from June of last year. What will you remember about that championship series and that run by that team as they face the Gators again tonight?
Obviously, Ty Floyd's performance sticks out.
Yeah.
That really sticks out. But I think the other thing too is, they got absolutely blasted in that middle game of that series. And to me, I was part of that team that lost 28-2 to Alabama back in the day. So I think it was easier for them to turn around mentally after just getting hammered, because probably by the 5th or 6th inning they were ready to play the next one.
Yeah.
They had all the starters had moved on. They're like, okay, they're realists. They know they weren't going to come back. So just the ability to bounce back after getting hammered and then hammer Florida again, that just showed the mental toughness in the team and then just the depth and the talent of that team. But it's always good to beat an SEC opponent in any type of championship series, much less that one. So. That was really impressive.
Me and my pops did not. I know we didn't see a pitch in the 8th inning. I don't know if we saw a pitch in the 7th inning of that game. We went, took a shower, and went and got a steak. We had seen enough of that one when it was a 15-point deficit there. So, but these two kind of new teams here, but some familiar faces. I want to go to LSU first and talk about Luke Holman. What did you see from him last week that yielded 10 hits, and what does he need to correct for this week?
To me, it looked like he just had an outing where he had zero feel for any pitch, meaning as a pitcher, sometimes when you go out there, you just really don't know where anything's going. You can't find a way to get anything in the zone. I can't remember him throwing hardly any sliders last week. His curveball was up a lot. It didn't look like it had a lot of bite to it. And then his fastball looked like it was up in the zone. So to me, I think it was just one of those outings, and I'll be interested to see how he bounces back tonight, but I'm not super worried about it because it just looked like he just didn't have a feel, and he tried to battle through it and give you as much as he could, but it just, in the end, it just didn't work out for him. So I think he'll bounce back, but that's what I chalked that outing up to it. You're not always going to have your best stuff, but it just wasn't working for him,
Do you feel differently today than you did this time last week about him as LSU's Friday night guy?
No, because I don't know if you have any other better options. He's not Skeens. We all know that, but he pitches. he's going to be 90 to 94 with a slider and a curveball for a strike, usually both pitches, and he can throw in and out. And that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to pitch, and he's going to have some contact, and he's going to have to rely on the defense behind him. But I think his ability to mix speeds is really kind of better than anything else you have out there right now. So I still feel fine with him as a Friday night guy. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, let's talk about Jump then. He got some outs last week, but also got hit a little bit. What'd you make of his outing?
Yeah, it looked like he just kind of ran into a wall all of a sudden. He looked like he was good, and then he just, once again, this is the weird thing with pitching. Me and my buddies have all been through it. It just, all of a sudden, you just lose it, on the mound. You just can't figure it out. And I distinctly remember, I can't remember if the inning he got pulled, but I think they had tied it up, but he comes out there and he hits the first guy in the foot with a slider. And you're like, man, that just really can't happen. Just an 0-0 slider to lead off the inning. And then I think things went downhill from there. So that's also, we've talked about it before. Look, coming from UCLA, not having pitched last year, it just means more. It's serious when you're at Dudy Noble in front of $14,000. That can get you. And if you're not used to it, like Lower's not really used to that either. It takes an adjustment, on the road. So hopefully Jump will bounce back. And I think, look, these guys know Florida's coming into town, and they need to figure out a way to take 2 out of 3. So I think the pitching hopefully, fixes things this weekend.
Well, at the very least, Thatcher Hurd should have some good vibes facing Florida based on what he did back in June. I don't know if we're expecting him to replicate that, but do you have confidence that he can be a guy that can get to a point where he can give you 5 or 6 innings that are fairly clean?
I would hope so. I think so. We've seen it from him. I don't know. I think, look, my overarching theme last weekend for the pitching was they were their own worst enemy. Their pitch execution was pretty terrible. When you go, I saw plenty of 0-2 to 3-2 to walks. I saw 4-pitch walks to the 9-hole. You put runs on the board as an offense, and then you let the leadoff guy get on. Just things that can't happen did, or you try to prevent from happening as a pitcher. And it was all across the board, from starters to relievers. So to me, their pitch execution was just bad. And I think even Jay Johnson alluded to that. But Hurd, you saw glimpses of it. And then, look, then he's like a bad luck kind of a guy, right? Dakota Jordan takes a 2-0 curveball on the outside corner at his knees and hits it 420 feet. Tip your hat to that guy. But I hope so, or maybe you see him move into a reliever role where he gives you 4 out the pen as he did last year. I hope he turns around because his stuff's really good. It just seems like he can't get out of his own way sometimes, I still have confidence in him, but I'd like to see it kind of come to fruition. I'm sure he would too.
You mentioned that it was just kind of that way for everybody. They had trouble getting anybody out across the board for 3 days. The one guy that did have an impressive inning was Nate Ackenhausen. They went to him to close the game on Saturday. What is his role in this bullpen?
Dealer's choice. I think he's the Swiss Army knife. I think he can do anything you need to, and it seems like Jay's kind of really done that this year, to where he is, called on Gavin Guidry in the 5th or 6th if you need him to. Weird stuff happened last weekend where Ulo only throws 2 pitches and he gets pulled for Kate Anderson. Saturday was very, I don't know what was going on Saturday, but I think Nate Ackenhausen is just, you trust him because he's been there. He's proven himself at the College World Series, and I think when you look at him, you're like, he can get lefties out, he can get righties out. I think he's going to throw strikes on a consistent basis, which is lacking sometimes from the staff. And really kind of I think he's that one guy where you're like, look, I need you to get an out right here and then come back tomorrow and throw 2. And he'll be like, all right, let's do it. So I think you use him where you need to because you trust him.
I know you were really locked in on the rest of the SEC last year, maybe not as much this year, but this is a team that you would have looked at a lot. And there are 5 guys back from the lineup of Game 3 last year with Cade Curlin, Caglione, Luke Heyman, Ty Evans, Tyler Shelnut. How dangerous is this Florida lineup that LSU is going to see this weekend?
I think they got a bunch of guys that can swing it. Florida's been a weird team this year. It's like they drop midweek games left and right, but then they beat A&M, who was riding high last week at home. Their pitching staff is, they don't have the best stats, when you look at their team ERA. But yeah, those guys can hit. I don't really know what's been going on. I think it's mainly their pitching this year, but I think if you're LSU, you just got to find a way to hold serve this weekend, or you're really digging yourself a big hole, and then you go face the best pitching staff in the country on the road next weekend. So I think it's going to have to be all hands on deck from a pitching staff, and I'm sure we'll see a lot what we saw from Jay last weekend, just a lot of mixing and matching, trying to get the best matchups possible, probably late in the game.
What do you feel about LSU's outfield right now? Paxton Kling sat 2 games against Mississippi State. He was back in the lineup on Tuesday. Ashton Larson's gotten a bit of a look. Mac Bingham hit a homer last week. Kind of where are you with that group?
Yeah, and I missed some of the defensive miscues last week. I watched almost all the games, but it felt like I guess I turned away or I got up from the TV or iPad, whatever I was watching, so I missed some of those miscues. But it was nice to see Kling hit a double this week. It was nice to see a lot of bats come alive during the midweek against a good Louisiana Tech team. And I think at some point you're just going to have to roll with some guys. You know, you're just going to have to roll with Kling and maybe handle the ups and downs because his upside's so high. I like him in center. I don't know if I necessarily like Bingham in center. You know, Neal gives me pause in the outfield, even though he's got a cannon out there, but do you trust him to make plays in the gap or plays near the foul line? I mean, I know he's taking fly balls in practice, so I don't know. I think Kling's going to have to be out there. Hopefully he turns around hitting it, and then you got to put Bingham probably in left, I guess, and then right is just a mix mash of Pearson or Larson if he hangs on hitting, and then I guess Neal if you need him. But I think Kling and Bingham are probably going to be your 2 staples out there.
Look, it was a slow start for Tommy White, but he's hit a home run in 4 straight games now. He's as hot as he can be, and we know what kind of hitter he's been over his 2 years in college. So my question to you is, if you're Jay Johnson, you're filling out that lineup card tonight against Cade Fisher, a left-hander, who are you putting behind Tommy White to try to get him some pitches to hit?
That's a good question. Because he's been moving him up in the lineup, right? He's
hit 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah. So I know Jay likes the he's big on that. I guess maybe trying to think. Travinsky, I guess. I like Jones like in that 6 hole. I really like him down in the order a little more, to where he doesn't have to press. Even though they're going to pitch him the same regardless of where he is, has a chance to still drive and runs in that. I'm trying to think to the top of my I guess Travinsky,
That's the first name that I thought of.
Yeah. I mean, Neal struggled last weekend, and I think when we talked, he was almost like my pick to click. I thought he was going to have, and he had a really bad weekend. So, but I think Cade Fisher, his ERA last time I looked was around like 7.
It is.
So hopefully, I mean, I think Travinsky. Yeah, that's who I'd go with, just to probably back him up with another righty.
That's probably where I'd be. It's probably Travinsky or Jones to the fear of the big swing. We'll see what Jay decides to do. One thing's fairly certain is that it won't be the same all 3 days. They kind of jumbled it up just about every day at the ballpark. So how do you think it goes this weekend?
I think they take 2 out of 3. I think I'm sure people are shaking their head, probably saying I'm an idiot in the car. But look, this is just like a typical LSU series, right? You see them go on the road, they look terrible, they get battered, and then they come home and they find a way to take 2 out of 3. I don't know which one. And maybe I wouldn't even be surprised if they blast Florida one day, like an 11-3 game or something. That's just kind of how LSU is. I feel like this program is, and I feel like Jay does a really good job of bouncing back. And I was surprised by the 10-1 against Louisiana Tech. They absolutely hammered those guys, and it was nice to see get guys going. But I think LSU takes 2.
I hope so. Hope it starts tonight with a big win in front of a huge crowd at the box. Going to be a great weekend, great weather all weekend. So excited to get out there. We'll talk next week, Chris. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Hunt. Appreciate it.
He is Chris Demouy, former Tiger southpaw, and joins us every single Friday talking a little LSU baseball. Northwestern's going to beat Florida Atlantic. That'll be the first final of the day in March Madness. 30 seconds to go, and it is an 11-point game. So, again, like I said at the top of the segment, I'm curious to see if Dusty May's name doesn't surface as a guy that some of these big-time programs are interested in. He's done a really good job at Florida Atlantic, and looks like he's going to be a free man here in about a minute and a half. So we'll see how things shake out there for the Owls. A lot to get to in hour number 2 of today's show. My preview of LSU and Florida. Got to talk about March Madness from yesterday, some of the things I saw. I put out a tweet yesterday that a lot of people did not like, including the morning show. Nick Delatorre is going to join us as well about 45 minutes from now to talk LSU and Florida. He covers the Gators 4 on 3, so we'll do that at 2:30. When we come back, little SEC baseball from last night. You probably weren't watching because Hoops was on, but it was real impressive. So we'll talk about that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is ready to take you through all the huge sports moments this spring. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN has it all, including exclusive offers and promotions from Scott Van Pelt and Stephen A. Smith. From playoff intensity to getting on the links and out to the ballpark, MLB starts next week. There's no better time to be a sports fan. Sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Bet on any game that you see on TV right now, and you can dive in with $100 in free bets. You can download ESPN today ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with LeBears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Right Radio Hours return, previewing LSU, Florida, and the Lady Tiger basketball team starts dancing. We'll preview at 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Shout out to the folks at Corks. It's Lenten Friday. Get onto the menu over there at corksfishandshrimp.com. They got some new items, fresh salads, huge stuffed potatoes. They got delicious pork chops, crawfish etouffee, stuffed baked potato. I'm going to sneeze, and getting through this live read is going to be very difficult when that's going on. The allergies are not great today. We'll get that figured out probably after the show, which is not a big help. But folks at Corks are fantastic. Check out the menu online. They got the awesome fried shrimp that's huge, delicious, the clean, crispy fried catfish. Got all your sauces. They got your classics, your cocktail sauce, tartar sauce, ketchup. But I love the Cork sauce. Got a little bit of a bite to it. It's really, really good. So check them out on Government Street, corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, last night I was watching hoops, but I did have the SEC baseball on the computer screen there in front of me, just kind of keep up with some things. And I'd imagine most of you didn't do that because the basketball is a little more exciting than just a random SEC baseball game in the second weekend of the season. However, it was remarkably impressive to watch Hagen Smith last night. And I know all of you know how good he is. But the numbers he is putting up are staggering. And they're just off put a little bit by the fact that he started his season in freezing cold weather at Baum-Walker Stadium against James Madison on a Friday afternoon. He walked a guy, hit a guy, and then gave up a 3-run homer. That was the first 3 guys he faced. Then he got 3 outs. So in that outing to open the season on opening day, he threw 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, and 3 earned runs. He walked 2, struck out 2. So that was his first outing. Since then, he has starts against Oregon State, Murray State, McNeese, Missouri, and Auburn. Here are his numbers from those 5 starts. 28 innings pitched, 10 hits, 1 run allowed in 28 innings, 60 strikeouts, and 8 walks. Last night at Auburn on the Plains, he goes 6 innings, allows just 3 hits, shutout baseball, 12 strikeouts, and 1 walk. His strikeout totals, 12 against Auburn, 10 against Missouri, 9 against McNeese. Shout out to the Pokes for staying in single digits there against Hagen Smith. But Murray State and Oregon State did not. 12 against Murray State, 17 in 6 innings against Oregon State. This is unbelievable stuff we are witnessing from Hagen Smith right now, and LSU gets him in 6 days. We'll see him next Thursday. This is Skeens-like in what he is doing, and you're watching this game, and Auburn is a functional team. I think they're in the bottom half of the SEC. That'll prove itself out over time. They either will be or they won't be, but they could not make contact. The only time Auburn got anything going at all against Hagen Smith, they hit a fly ball to left field that because the fence is very close, the left fielder got up near the wall and misplayed it. He should have caught it, but he missed it. That was the only time they even remotely threatened anything off of Hagen Smith. 12 strikeouts in 6 innings. That's only 18 outs. He struck out 12 of them. This guy is far and away, for me, the best pitcher in the Southeastern Conference, and I would assume the best pitcher in the country. I can't speak exactly to what's going on in Corvallis, Oregon, or what Wake Forest. I know what Wake Forest has, and Josh Hartle's really good, and Chase Burns has crazy stuff. But Hagen Smith is the best pitcher in the SEC, and is going to be the boogeyman for just about everyone that he sees. Now, Auburn, credit to them, stayed in this game, and they got Hagen Smith out after 6 innings. But they couldn't score on the bullpen either, and they lost 1-0. So it was a 1-0 loss for Auburn there. But Hagen Smith, really, really good, and we'll certainly talk about him more next week. And the other game that I was really interested to see, you saw Texas A&M and Mississippi State. I was kind of checking to see, okay, was a situation where Mississippi State got hot against LSU? Are they as good as that lineup would indicate? Same thing for A&M. Litmus test. Their pitching staff was so good in the pre-conference, and they went to Gainesville and got knocked around a little bit. And it was kind of a smattering of both. In the end, Texas A&M did enough to win the game. It wasn't as if their pitching staff was completely dominant, and Mississippi State didn't light up the yard. But A&M did do enough to win, so they pulled to 2-2 in league play. Gavin Grahovic hit a huge grand slam. That's a name you're going to hear a lot over the next few years. He's a freshman for Texas A&M. The headliners for them are obviously Jace Lavalette, and then you got the transfer of Braden Montgomery from Stanford. But Gavin Grahovic is their big freshman. He had a grand slam that was the swing of the game last night, and they won the game 6-3. So they'll play game 2 of that series coming up this evening. It's a full weekend of SEC baseball, but I think the headliner of this weekend is obviously LSU in Florida, and we're going to talk about that a ton over the next hour. As I mentioned, we'll chat with Nick Delatorre, who covers the Gators for Gators Country, part of the On3 network, and he'll be with us at the bottom of next hour. I've got a full preview of the Gators and kind of what I think of that team coming up at the top of hour number 2. Still got to talk a little bit of March Madness. We have our first final in the book. If you missed any of the first hour of our show today, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can find us. You can also find us on YouTube as well. Our full shows are archived there, as well as some clips that you can find at Hunt on Saints and Hunt on LSU when we are talking football. We appreciate y'all for finding our stuff on demand each and every day. Scores from the NCAA tournament. Halftime in the East region, 12-seed UAB trails 5-seed San Diego State 35-29. It's a 6-point game there. Also halftime between Marquette and Western Kentucky. That's a 15-2 matchup. Western Kentucky leads Marquette 43-36, a 7-point lead for the 15-seeded Hilltoppers in that one. Those are the 2 games that are in progress. Do have 2 finals from today. Northwestern beat Florida Atlantic 77-65 in overtime, and Baylor hammered Colgate 92-67. Got the Baylor Bears in my Final Four, so that's a good sign. Do have SEC teams in action later today. We'll see Yale and Auburn at 3:15. That game between 13 and 4. Florida starts their NCAA tournament today against Colorado. That's a 7-10 game. Texas A&M and Nebraska in an 8-9 matchup on TNT at 5:50. And Alabama will play Charleston at 6:35. 4-seed Alabama versus a 13-seed Charleston. Charleston can score now. See if Nadeau's team wants to get down and guard anybody. If they just want to run and gun, Charleston will play that way with them. So we'll see how that thing goes this evening. I'll give my thoughts on what we saw in the NCAA tournament last night coming up in hour number 2. Friday show is brought to you by Corks. We'll pause for Sports Center. Come back, talk some LSU Florida baseball. Game 1 from the box tonight. It's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. First round of the NCAA tournament on day 2 rolls on. Northwestern's Ryan Langborg scored 12 of his 27 points in overtime. Wildcats got by Florida Atlantic 77-65 in OT. Baylor rolled past Colgate 92-67. Western Kentucky's leading Marquette 43-36 at halftime. San Diego State's up 35-29 on UAB at the half. Another NCAA tournament disappointment for Kentucky in the loss to Oakland, and Coach John Calipari is wondering if he should change his approach to constructing the team's roster. The transfer portal really a must, suggests ESPN college basketball insider Jeff Borzello.
He needs to get a couple older guys. If he can see that, being young and playing 3 or 4 freshmen against teams that are 22, 23, 24 years old, he's going to have to realize that he's got to go get some guys that have been in college for a while.
Jeff Borzello on Greeny. Of Kentucky's 15 rostered players, 8 were freshmen. Women's NCAA tournament on ESPN. The women's number 1 overall seed South Carolina leading Presbyterian 48-25 at halftime.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Monday. As we get closer to the end of the NBA regular season, I'll tell you which team is running out of time to get things turned around. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're brought to you by Cork's each and every Friday. Nick Delatorre coming up in 30 minutes. LSU in Florida tonight from Alec Box Stadium. Beck, we have a couple of significant issues here.
Okay.
One, I tried 3 times since about 12:40 to purchase a Coca-Cola Zero from the downstairs vending machine.
Oh, no.
And the internet will not allow the chip card reader to work.
Do you need $1? I have $1.
I probably should have asked you for $1.
Yeah.
I just figured the 3rd time that it would work with the credit card. It did not. So that's one issue. The second issue is I'm having some sort of massive allergic reaction where my nose is a faucet. My eyes are watering.
What did you?
I'm sneezing. I didn't do anything.
Did you
I've just been sitting here.
Maybe it was the crepe myrtles outside. Is you
I
have
haven't
issues?
been outside since 7:50 a.m.
Okay. Well, that's very odd.
It makes things difficult.
It
But
does.
Look, I'm here to play through adversity.
You're
It's
tough.
tournament time.
Yep.
It's March. Champions are made in March. I'm here to forge through this.
You gotta play
and we're
hurt
gonna make it happen.
sometimes.
Look, and somebody's got to do it. So we're gonna get to the finish line one way or another here. But it's not pleasant at the moment. We're gonna have to find a Zyrtec somewhere before we go outside and go watch a baseball game this evening. Speaking of that baseball game, LSU in Florida tonight. I don't have to tell you how big this is. They're all big. It's 30 games, but LSU needs to defend its home field this weekend. I just told you in the last segment of the first hour how good Hagen Smith is. Next Thursday is going to be a bear of a game to try to win up in Fayetteville. So you got a team in Florida that has been up and down this year, and you've got an opportunity to win a series on your home field. LSU needs to take advantage. Let me tell you about this Florida team. They're 12-8. On the weekend, they've been good. They had a weird weather opening weekend, and they lost a game to St. John's and couldn't play again. So they went 0-1 on a weekend series against St. John's. But they swept Columbia. They went down to Coral Gables and beat Miami 2 out of 3. They came back home, beat St. Mary's 2 out of 3. And then Texas A&M came to Gainesville to open conference play, and they won that weekend. So they've won every weekend dating back to the first one. In the midweek, they stink. They lost to Stetson. They lost to Central Florida. They lost to Florida State. This week they lost to Jacksonville. They've already got 4 midweek losses to this point. We hadn't had that many weeks of the season. So weekend, pretty good. Midweek, not so great. And I think the reason for that is because their pitching staff down the line is just not what we've accustomed to see from Kevin O'Sullivan's teams. They've got some elite talent at the front. They've got an All-American closer. And between that, it's just And so they're not getting enough outs in the midweek, and their bullpen has faltered a little bit and given up some games on the weekends. As far as offense goes, I looked back at the College World Series Game 3 lineup in box score to see who's back and who's not. And so gone from that team from last year, B.T. Riopel, the catcher, who was great in Omaha. Wyatt Langford, who Bruce Bochy literally just announced within the hour is going to make the big league team on opening day for the Rangers, who incidentally will play the Cubs. Josh Rivera, the senior shortstop, and then Colby Halter is gone as well. So 4 guys gone from that lineup, but so 5 are back. Cade Curlin, who was a freshman last year at second base, Jack Caglione, who you know, Luke Heyman, Ty Evans, who hit that pop-up grand slam in Game 2 down the left field line, and then Tyler Shelnut is back as well. And then another name that we are familiar with in this Florida lineup is Colby Shelton, who last year at Alabama hit 300 with 25 home runs as a freshman. He'll be facing his former teammate Luke Holman tonight. So that's kind of what this offense is made up of. But I want to talk about pitching first. Cade Fisher's going to go today, and I talked about him yesterday as a guy who was a bullpen guy, spot starter last year as a freshman. He's exactly what they look like, 6'3", 205 pounds, throws 94 miles an hour. He's a really talented pitcher. And you thought, okay, that's a guy based on what he did as a freshman that will very, very seamlessly slide in there at the top of the rotation. It's not Brandon Sproat and Hurston Waldrop this year. Those guys have moved on to professional baseball. Cade Fisher should be able to do it. We saw him last year in the championship series twice. And I was surprised going back to look at the box scores and how effective he was. Because I think of LSU in Game 3 as scoring 100 runs in every inning, but that wasn't the case. In Game 1 of that championship series, Fisher came in relief of Brandon Sproat, and he threw 3 1/3 innings of 4-hit baseball, allowed 1 earned run, struck out 5, and didn't walk anybody. So really good outing in Game 1 of that series. He did not pitch in Game 2, but he came back in Game 3, and I was shocked to see that he went 4 2/3 innings in that game and only gave up 1 run. That does not sound right to me, but that's what happened. He gave up 5 hits and 1 run, 6 strikeouts, and I was wrong. That was the total line. In Game 3, he threw 1 1/3 inning of 4-hit shutout baseball, struck out 1 and walked 1. So in total, his 2 outings against LSU in the championship series, 4 2/3, 8 hits, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, and 1 walk. But he has been very bumpy this year as Florida's Friday night guy, and that's why his ERA is up over 7. It's 7.94 entering this game. St. John's knocked him all over the place in the opener, as we talked about yesterday. St. Mary's hit him hard, 5 innings, 5 runs on 7 hits. And then last week against Texas A&M, it's a little bit of a goofy line. It's 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, all earned, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. The 10 strikeouts is an impressive number against Texas A&M, but he's given up a bunch of earned runs. He hadn't had a clean outing really yet. 6 earned runs against A&M, 4 earned runs against St. Mary's, 3 earned runs against Miami in just 4 2/3, 2 earned runs against Columbia, and 5 earned runs in 2 innings against St. John's. So tonight, LSU's bats should be able to make some noise. You usually think when you see Florida, you think, well, this is a team that's going to have a dude at the front of the rotation. Brandon Sproat's stuff's ridiculous. Hurston Waldrop, ridiculous split finger first-round pick. You go back over time with guys like A.J. Puck and Logan Shore and Alex Faedo and Brady Singer. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Kevin O'Sullivan's just had great Friday night guys. And Cade Fisher is about as talented as any of those guys. But it just hasn't panned out this year. And I like the way, despite the fact that you lost 2 games last weekend, I didn't think LSU's offense was bad. I thought the pitching was bad. I did not think the offense was bad. So tonight, I expect them to go out there and swing the bats. I do expect Paxton Kling in the lineup today. Wouldn't surprise me if they caught Hayden Travinski to get another bat in the lineup that hits from the right side. I don't know if Brady Neal left on left is the guy that you want to go to here. He's not seeing it awesome. So if you want to go to another right-handed bat there, you could catch Milazzo if you wanted to and DH Travinski. I do think that Josh Pearson will probably play tonight. I don't think Ashton Larson will play. But I think LSU should have a good chance to swing the bats against Cade Fisher. At some point, you're going to see Brandon Neely from Florida. And Neely had a really bad outing in the opener against St. Mary's. They knocked him all over the place, which is pretty shocking because he's a preseason first-team All-American. He was a fantastic closer last year and has just been really, really good in his time at Florida. But look, he had a bad outing and got knocked around earlier this season. But St. Mary's scored 6 runs in 2 innings on him. But since then, against Florida State and A&M, he's been very, very good. In those 3 outings against Florida and Texas A&M, twice against the Aggies, 6 innings pitched, just 2 hits and no runs, 10 strikeouts and 2 walks. So dominating stuff. He was National Pitcher of the Week by one publication this week. That's the guy you're going to see should LSU fall behind in a game, whether it's tonight, Saturday, Sunday. He's the guy you want to avoid. I'll be very honest with you, though. Beyond him, this Florida bullpen is susceptible to giving up runs. Like Fisher Jameson has 22 strikeouts in 17 innings. That's awesome, but his ERA is up over 4. He's given up some swings. You'll probably see Blake Purnell. He's got 9 appearances. His ERA is 8. Like that, the middle of this Florida pitching staff, behind Caglione, behind Liam Peterson, a talented freshman you'll see tomorrow, behind Fisher, and before Neely, that's where LSU needs to make hay. So the plan is going to be kind of like what you saw against blanking on Texas's Friday night guy. I can see him, and I can't think of the name. But it's going to be a plan sort of like that to work the pitch count up and get into the bullpen. Because if you can do that, it's a lot of freshmen, and you can score some runs. Now, I hope they score a bunch of runs on Fisher, and Peterson's gotten hit a little bit. A&M certainly knocked him around a bit. And then Caglione sometimes throws strikes, sometimes doesn't. So it's not like it's Hagen Smith 3 times that you're going to see. But just as you enter this series and you're watching, know that LSU should be able to make some hay in innings 5, 6, 7 before Neely were to come in. That's the plan that LSU will have over the weekend. So we'll talk a little bit more about this with Nick Delatorre from Gators Country, part of the On3 Network. He covers this Florida team. He's seen every pitch, and he can probably shed some more light than I can. I should mention that Ryan Slater has been pretty good for them. 3.74 ERA. He's been out there 11 times and has been a bullpen guy for them. 21 strikeouts and 21 2/3 innings. Slater and Neely are probably the 2 guys that they have the most confidence in. Both of those guys pitched in the championship series last year. Beyond them, it's a lot of freshmen. LSU hopefully can make a lot of hay against those guys starting tonight at 7 o'clock in the box. Should be a really, really good crowd. The weather's supposed to be fantastic all weekend. I'm hoping they can clear 10,000 each and every night. We'll just have to see starting tonight. We'll take a timeout, come back with some NCAA tournament basketball talk. I've got takes people don't like at all, and they've voiced their displeasure on Twitter. We'll get to those next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions. They do whole home audio, TV installation, video surveillance. They can do something as simple as mounting a TV. They can do something as complex as voice automating your entire home. So you walk in and say, watch a movie, and the shades come down, and the TV comes on, and the lights dim, and the whole deal. Like, they can do that. They don't have that in my house because we don't need that much going on, but they've got us set up with some great things that have made my life easier as someone who doesn't understand technology all that well. Mitchell Fisher and his team, it's a local company. It is a fantastic company, and they know what they're talking about. You can give Mitchell a call. This is the owner's phone number, 225-439-7920. It's 225-439-7920. Check them out online, avssla.com. Security systems, whole home audio, TV installation, surround sound, your home entertainment system. Check out the friends at AVSS. It's Audio Video Security Solutions.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best kept
on Monday's OTB. Recap March Madness, as well as the Tigers and Gators battling in the box. Did Jim get it done in New Orleans? Did the ladies whole serve at the PMAC? And a brand new weekend winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
Lots of movement on the leaderboards. If you go check out where you stand for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge, you want to go to 1045ESPN.com, powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light. First place wins $2,024 cash, and if your bracket is perfect, you'll win $1 million in a 3-year lease on a 2024 Acura RDX. Not sure if there's any perfect brackets still left standing. We'll have to go check that on the website, but it's the $1 Million Bracket Challenge, powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
I had a perfect bracket for 39 minutes and 59 seconds of basketball. Lost the first one.
I had one all the way up until last night when who was it that lost? Actually, I think it was because of Colorado State. I had Colorado State. I had 2 brackets that were perfect in Colorado State in both of those, and they ended up losing.
There's an old adage, I think it was Socrates that said it, that it's very difficult to get a perfect bracket if you lose the first game.
It is.
And so I live by that. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it done this year. I did watch a lot of basketball last night and very much enjoyed it. I've got a new favorite basketball team. Do you want to hear about them?
I think I know who they are.
Who is it?
Oakland?
That's right.
And they're not in California, by the way.
They're not. I had a high school basketball teammate who was from Michigan, and his dad went to Oakland, so I actually knew of Oakland previously. I don't really care about Oakland very much, but I do very much appreciate the fact that their coach self-proclaims himself the college basketball coach who plays the most golf, which I think is fantastic. He plays at Oakland Hills, which is sick. And they've got a guy on their team that never shoots twos, only shoots threes. That's a man after my own heart.
I think he shot 8 2-pointers the whole season.
He did. He was 4 for 8 from in front of the line.
And those might have been accidental. I don't even know if they were purposeful twos.
You got to see, like, was it a snowbird situation? Yeah. Was this like, I don't know, but it had to be quite a sight to see him shoot a 2-pointer. But it's really not about Oakland. This is about Kentucky. This is something I've been talking about for 2 years now. And now everybody is on the same page. Well, everyone on the outside is on the same page. John Calipari should not be the coach of Kentucky anymore. Because Kentucky basketball is the best job in the country. I think it's better than Kansas. I think it's better than Duke.
Really?
I think it's better than North Carolina. I think with the money generated from the SEC and the passion of that fan base and the history and the brand of that school and that program, it is the best job in the country.
You think it's clearly a better job than Duke or North Carolina or Kansas?
I do. Because of the money that the SEC produces.
Yeah.
And there's no impediment to winning there. Not a single one. There's not some crazy academic situation. There's not a trouble recruiting locally or nationally. There's tons of money. The fan support's awesome. The history's great. There's nothing hindering you. And John Calipari was the perfect hire when they got him from Memphis. The perfect hire. And he showed up and immediately made that as good a basketball program as there was in the country. For the first 10 years under John Calipari, they went to the Elite Eight 7 times. They went to the Final Four 4 times, and they won a national championship. They won an NCAA tournament game every year for the first 10 years. He had it cooking. He was the best recruiter in the country. I don't care how he did it. I know that he did it. And he got the best players in the country. He got Anthony Davis. He got John Wall and Eric Bledsoe, Karl Anthony Towns. He was the best, and their team was the best. That team with the Harrison twins and Willie Cauley-Stein and Karl Anthony Towns, they almost went undefeated. But then Mike Krzyzewski went, I did a good job with the Christian Laettners and Shane Battiers and J.J. Reddicks that wanted to stay for 4 years. But maybe I ought to dip my toe in this one-and-done thing. And then all of a sudden, Jahlil Okafor did not go to Kentucky. And Jabari Parker did not go to Kentucky. And Zion Williamson did not go to Kentucky. Duke was getting those guys. And we've seen a shift with the NIL and with the G League and then with the transfer portal. And John Calipari has lost touch with it all. The last 4 years, you've seen this, but in the last 4 years, they've had a 9-18 season where they didn't make the tournament. They have not won the Southeastern Conference regular season. They have one NCAA tournament win in the last 4 years, and they have losses in the tournament to St. Peter's and Oakland. Now, John Calipari did not do a good job yesterday, but this is not about yesterday. This is not about 40 minutes. Any tournament team can get beat by a guy who makes 10 threes. And yes, I would like them to get ahead. They went box and one at one point. They let him get hot, which was a mistake. But then he started throwing in some ridiculous threes that I don't know how many teams are going to guard that. And his guys shrunk a little bit because they're young. But this is not about just Oakland. That can happen to anybody. Lehigh beat Duke. Kansas lost to Bucknell. Like, that happens over 40 minutes to everybody. No one is immune from it. Virginia was in that great run, and they lost to the school no one even knows, Maryland Shore.
UMBC?
Yeah. So it can happen. This is about the sample size of half a decade that does not meet Kentucky's standards. And he said it in the press conference yesterday. He said, I know how to do it this way. He knows how to go get the guys. And this could have been something they did last year, but you look at the recruiting class, you go, oh my God, they've got 4 of the top 12 players in the country. And they played great. Reed Shepherd, National Freshman of the Year. He was engineered to be a Kentucky Wildcat. His dad was a national Final Four most outstanding player. And Dillingham was fantastic. And Reeves, as an older player, was great. But they weren't consistent all year.
Lost to LSU.
They lost to us here. They lost 3 in a row in Rupp. And they went out there in the NCAA tournament and didn't play defense and got beat. Kentucky can hire almost anybody they want. And if Jimbo Fisher can get $75 million from the oil couch cushions in College Station, somebody can find some in the Bourbon Horse stash too and find that money and go get the next guy. Because John Calipari is no longer the best recruiter in college basketball. Still very, very good. Best class in the country last year, number 2 this year. Very, very good. But everybody's caught up there. And He doesn't use the transfer portal quite as well. Sheboy was great. And he doesn't coach. His deal was having the best players. This doesn't work. And if Kentucky respects itself the way Alabama football does, the way LSU baseball does, and lots of other programs around the country that would fall into that category, they will make this move, and they will go get a new coach to do this.
And I think you might agree with me. I don't think they're going to call Will Wade. And here's the reason why. Because he's a similar coach to Calipari.
Yes.
He's known more for his ability to attract talent as opposed to his X's and O's. So I'm interested in what type of we know what type of coach they're going to try to get, I guess, but who I guess I don't really know who would be a good candidate, because I think it's almost anybody that's not at a blue blood. If they're maybe could be the FAU coach like we were talking about earlier, somebody like that, I guess.
Look, you're not getting Hubert Davis or Bill Self.
Right, not anyone from a school like that, but anyone else almost, I think.
But, one of the names that popped in my head because I'm so impressed with what he's done is Kelvin Sampson. Now, he's 68.
I don't know that he wants to restart.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you don't really have to restart in college basketball. You just flip the switch.
That's true.
Go get Bourbon money, go get the guys, and then go coach them. But I would certainly look around the country at a lot of different guys. I would look at Nate Oates, who's had a ton of success. I would look right down the road at Bruce Pearl. Is there any chance that Bruce Pearl would not field a ridiculous basketball program for 10 years straight at Kentucky?
I would say no. I mean, that would be a slam dunk.
I mean, I would call Billy Donovan.
Yeah, maybe.
And now I doubt he would want to get back into it, but they don't have to do what the guys over in Durham and Raleigh did, where they, you turn around in Chapel Hill where you're like, oh, okay, just give it to the assistant. You could go get anyone. And I just think Kentucky's got to do that. This is simply untenable at this point. They are not what they should be, what they should demand at this point. The other thing, and this is what ticked everybody off yesterday, was the block in the Kansas and Samford game. And I put out a tweet, and everyone hated it. And then it got referenced on the morning show, and everyone hated it. And I'm certain as I relay that information to you as you're driving around or listening to us however you may be, that you will hate it as well. I don't back off of it for 1 second. Everyone's bashing the refs. Y'all know you've listened to me for 5 years, 6 years, bash refs all the time. I bash refs for getting their feelings hurt over words said on a basketball court and awarding teams points for it. I hate technical fouls for verbiage. It drives me insane. Just don't listen. But the fact of the matter is that this sport is so ridiculously hard to officiate. And when you've got two high-level D1 athletes flying towards the rim with 4 arms going towards the rim and 1 arm swiping across, it is impossible for the human eye to detect the difference between a fingertip touching somebody's hand and missing it by 1/4 of an inch. Like, that's just not doable. And that play at the rim, the ball was blocked from behind. Like, usually you block a shot in the direction that it's going between the ball and the rim. He was on the backside of the basketball. You can't tell if he swiped across and caught the back of his hand or caught the ball. It's unfortunate they missed the call. The call was missed. But I have a hard time faulting the official for that. I heard Jimmy and Charlie talking about it today that they anticipated the call. I don't think so. I think they saw 2 guys go to the rim, 1 basketball, 4 arms and 4 hands, and thought there was contact based on the reaction. The ball went sideways and the guy's hand came off the ball. They missed the call, but I just have a hard time jumping the official's case for something that close.
Oh, but my thing is, with a call like that, why not review it?
It's not reviewable.
Okay.
If they miss a guy standing out of bounds, sure, I will jump their case. If they miss, a body check at the rim because they're swallowing their whistle, I will give them grief. Something that happens that quick, that fast, in that small margins, I just can't jump down their throat. I know America wants Samford to beat Kansas. I know America loves to yell at refs, and I just saw so many people going nuts, and I yell at refs too. But it's because they do something that I hate because they get offended. Or they think that they're the most important on the floor, and you can't say that to me. This I can't throw a fit over.
It's a really close call. I agree with you. It does suck for Samford that
yeah, they would have had a chance.
They would have had a chance, yeah. But again, you hear this from players and coaches all the time, especially. I don't know what Sanford said after the game, but I think I did see actually one of the players for Sanford said that the Kansas player said he got fouled, but he said, well, I guess Casper touched him because, like, I didn't hit him. But usually when that happens, the teams that lose or the players or the coaches, usually if it's a one call like that, they will most likely often say it wasn't the one call that cost the game. And I watched that game for the most part, and they played well, but yeah, it doesn't all come down to one call as it looks. It's not just based on that one foul as the reason why Sanford lost.
It was really entertaining stuff though last night. UAB climbing all the way back against Kansas State. They've got a tie ball game with 10.5 minutes to go. Let's talk some baseball. Nick Delatorre covers Florida for On 3. He'll join us next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I know a lot of folks locked in a great interest rate a couple of years ago, not in a hurry to move. But maybe the home's a little bit dated or you're looking to add some value to that home. How about a brand new bathroom? Soup to nuts. David Duvall and his team do the entire thing. You don't have to make 4 calls to 4 different contractors and coordinate everything to get it done. Nope, just one call. David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. They handle everything. It starts with a free consultation and finishes with a product that you will be so, so proud of. Look great, function great. It's a no-brainer. Give the folks at One Bath and Closets a call or check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Right Radio Hours return, previewing LSU, Florida, and the Lady Tiger basketball team starts dancing. We'll preview at 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Kim Mulkey's LSU Tigers start their NCAA tournament run in about 25 minutes. Should they beat Rice, their opponent will be the winner of Middle Tennessee State and Louisville. If you're with us at the top of the show, Patrick Wright joined us and said that Louisville was out to a quick 15-point lead. That lead is long gone. Middle Tennessee with a 4-point lead under 30 seconds to play at the PMAC. So an interesting development there. Looks like the Blue Raiders may win it, and LSU could see them coming up on Sunday. LSU and Florida will definitely play on Sunday in baseball. They'll start things tonight. It's a rematch of the National Championship Series. That day, we talked to Nick Delatorre from Gators Country, and today we'll talk to Nick Delatorre as he joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Nick, how are you?
Doing well. In the car, so hope you guys can hear me.
We got you loud and clear. We're excited for this one here in Baton Rouge this weekend. I'm curious about a lot of things with this Florida team, but one, we'll start with Cade Fisher at the front. It was very natural for him to kind of become the Friday night guy. He was really good as a freshman last year and has all the tools, but the numbers are not great. What have you seen from Cade Fisher through the first month and change?
Yeah, he's almost a totally different pitcher. Last year, through fastball slider, pitched to a lot of contact, would get weak contact, ground balls. He's got a whiff rate, I think, in the 40s now, a ton of strikeouts, but hasn't developed that third pitch, which you would have expected him to do against Rhode Island and Columbia, because if you're throwing 91 to 94 and you only have that in the slider, it's not going to play very well in Fayetteville or Baton Rouge. So I think the trouble with him is when he hasn't spotted his slider, he's had to get into fastball counts. And if he's not throwing that third pitch, I think that's where we've seen him get into trouble, getting behind counts and then throwing his low 90s fastball to teams who are ready to swing at it. So he had a better start last week. I know if you just look at the box score, it's 6 innings, 6 earned, but 5 of those were in just one blow-up inning, and believe it or not, that was his best start of the year. So I think there's optimism that he's figured some things out, and I guess we'll see. It'll be his second road start of the year after not pitching very well down in Coral Gables when Florida played Miami.
On Saturday, it'll be Liam Peterson. We know he's a super talented freshman. What else can you tell us?
Struggling right now, looking like a freshman right now. This is a kid who, will be drafted in the top 5 rounds, or that's the thought, in 3 years. Started off well, and then the last 3 starts, he's really struggled. Again, it's no matter what pitcher you bring up, I think I'll tell you that they're having trouble throwing strikes. And Florida's just getting into a lot of fastball counts, and teams are teeing off. So the big thing for Peterson, who has a 4-pitch mix, is being able to throw the off speed for strikes to let that play, to let his fastball play more. So it'll be a huge test for him. He's coming off 3 bad starts, I think it was 4, 6, and 5 earned in each of his last 3 games. Super talented young pitcher, but looking more young than talented of late.
Speaking of talented, Jack Caglione will get the ball on Sunday. I haven't seen a ton of him this year, but the numbers look really good. Has he improved as a pitcher?
100%. I think the biggest thing with Jack was his command, and that's understandable. He was coming off of Tommy John surgery last year. Was his first really competitive pitching since his junior year of high school. So command was probably the last thing to come back. But then you see with Jack is maybe a little immaturity. He holds himself to a really high standard, and he wasn't able to put things away. 1 walk would turn into 2 and 3. A strikeout he'd bring it to the mound. So I think you're seeing that maturity where he's able to put failure behind him and continue pitching. He's throwing his cutter more, and then 2 right-handed batters. His changeup has been devastating. So he certainly looks the part on the mound. And I think he's also hitting .415.
Yeah, that'll play. The guy can hit. I'm curious if there's any thought to moving him from Sunday because of the role that he plays offensively and at first base, or is he kind of anchored there?
Yeah, I think, listen, you're talking about a guy who might go 1-1, so I don't know that it's totally the coach's decision. I think there's parents and advisors that also would like to, chime in on that. But the thing that I think we're talking about in Gainesville, but might not be talked about as much just because he hits the ball 119 miles an hour and throws it 100, is how good he's turned himself into at first base as a defender. He's made some Sports Center top 10 worthy plays. He's also a 6'5" target over there. So he's been really impressive. And Florida doesn't have really anyone that's close to as good defensively as him at first base. So they would like to keep him there on Friday, Saturday. And I think pitching is so taxing. There's a reason why college pitchers only throw once a week. And if you started Jack on Friday, you'd probably have to DH him on Saturday and then play him at first on Sunday. So with Cade Fisher and Liam Peterson struggling, it's definitely something that kicked around. But when you're a potential 1-1 candidate, I think there's more people than just your head coach that make that decision.
Makes a lot of sense for sure. We know Brandon Neely was pitcher of the week and has had 3 really, really good outings. I talked about that at the top of the hour. The rest of the bullpen looks a little spotty. What can you tell us about the rest of that staff?
Well, Florida was going to always be young, and I think LSU is probably going through some of it. Yeah, it's hard to replace Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. It's hard to replace Hurston Waldrop, Brandon Sproat, and Wyatt Langford. Florida's bullpen it's like I said before, it's throwing strikes. I think going back, this is the highest ERA any Kevin O'Sullivan team has had through this point of the season, and they're rivaling any other team for their walks per 9. Florida's young. 11 of their 18 pitchers are freshmen. They looked really good in the fall. And if you look at Florida's offense, you think, all right, well, they weren't facing slouches in the fall. So I've kind of been, as somebody who, watched 20, 30 scrimmages in the fall, I don't really have any answers for Florida fans when they've asked me why these guys have struggled, because the freshmen have been good. Ryan Slater's been good. And then it's almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde out of Florida's bullpen, because you'll get a great outing from someone like Blake Purnell, and then he'll come in and give up 3 in his next outing. So Florida's just looking for consistency. If you look at what they did last Friday, Cade Fisher was able to give you 6, and Kevin O'Sullivan was tired of losing games and said, Brandon Neely, I need you to give me 9 outs.
Yeah.
So they really just need somebody to bridge from the starter to Neely. And they're running through about 8-9 guys trying to find somebody who can consistently do that, and they just haven't found that yet.
I was talking yesterday on air with Joe Healy from D1 Baseball, and he made a comment. I did not go back and fact check it because I knew you were coming on today, and I would just run it by you. He said that the lineup that Kevin O'Sullivan uses against left-handed pitching isn't quite as potent. I realize that Caglione hits left-handed and that Shelton hits left-handed, and maybe that left-handers may be a bit of an issue. Is there anything to that? I didn't look it up.
He probably likes Michael Robertson more than I do. Florida has a Liberty 6-year senior from Liberty transfer, Jalen Guy, who I like a little bit more than Michael Robertson. I think he handles the bat a little bit well. And whenever Florida throws a lefty, they start him in center field, and I think he's even a better center fielder than Robertson, who has made some great plays in center field, including in Omaha last year. Florida's trying to figure out what to do at third base. Dale Thomas, who's a senior, 5th-year senior, has struggled hitting under the Mendoza line. They have a 6'5" catcher, designated hitter, transferred from Virginia Tech, who an MLB scout told me in the fall has more raw power than Jack Caglione, but is currently striking out 46% of the times he goes to the plate, which is a real stat, not a made-up one.
Yeah.
So those are guys who they would love to have in the lineup against lefties, Brody Dene and Dale Thomas, but both of them are struggling. So third base has kind of been a revolving door, and left field's kind of been a revolving door. But the only real change that's consistent against lefties is Jalen Guy in center field.
Well, we'll see. LSU's got a ton of lefties in the bullpen, and one that'll start coming up on Saturday. Nick, we really appreciate some time as you're on the road. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Have a good one.
He's Nick Delatorre. Always enjoy our conversations with him. You can catch his stuff over at Gators Online on 3. He's always gracious with his time during football and baseball season with us. That's a guy who loves him some baseball. We chatted with him a couple times up in Omaha last year and good enough to join us here as LSU in Florida. Get it rolling at 7 o'clock. All right, we'll come back, get you a final score from the PMAC, get you ready for LSU women's basketball, play some Take It or Leave It, and get on down the road. It is the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Platinum Window Tint. Check them out online, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. Whether it's your automobile, whether it's your home, whether it's your business, they can help you out with window tinting. There are a lot of advantages to tinting your windows. One, just makes things more comfortable in this Louisiana heat. Whether you're getting in your car after a long day and it's been sitting outside, whether you're dealing with your home and having energy costs that are through the roof because you're trying to keep your home cool. You can have some help with that with your window tinting from Platinum Window Tint. Check them out online, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. You can do a lot of things there, including request a free quote. Platinum Window Tint, it's online, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local.
On Monday's OTB, recap March Madness, as well as the Tigers and Gators battling in the box. Did Jim get it done in New Orleans? Did the ladies hold serve at the PMAC? And a brand new weekend winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
As you all know, March Madness is all underway here in 2024. We've got first-round coverage tonight at 6, and then second-round coverage starting Saturday at noon and also Sunday morning at 11 right here on the home station for all of your Baton Rouge sports, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
We do have a final in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. This is quoting Scott Rabolet's Twitter as he's on hand covering it. Middle Tennessee misses 2 free throws with less than 4 seconds left, up 2. Louisville's Russell had her 3-quarter court shot to win, bang off the side of the rim as time expires. Final in the PMAC, Middle Tennessee State 71, Louisville 69. A 2-point win for the Blue Raiders. No Haley Van Lith rematch with her old team. She's probably, I would have to think, pretty relieved that they're not playing
probably
Louisville. So. That's a tough spot. So Louisville is headed home. Middle Tennessee improves to 30-4. They're the 11th seed. The winner of Rice and LSU will advance to see the Blue Raiders in the PMAC. That game will start a little bit late. It was supposed to start at 3. It'll start a little bit late. I wonder how many people are pulling the double dip today. If you go to the girls' tournament game, it starts at 3:20. We'll be conservative there. Starts at 3:20. That means it'll be over at about 5:20.
Yeah.
And then you got baseball coming up at 7.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good day, I think.
That's a pretty good day. It'd be a pretty good day if you went and got some Corks as well. It's a Lenten Friday. If you're looking to observe, not eat meat, Corks has got you covered with everything on their menu. They've got awesome crispy fried catfish, fantastic jumbo Gulf shrimp, the shoestring fries that are always crispy. They've got your loaded baked potatoes, crawfish etouffee. They can do fried catfish over crawfish etouffee as well. It is really, really good stuff over there. And they're happy to feed in bulk. If you've got feed the office, you've got a party, birthday party, tailgate party, whatever the case may be, give them a call over at Corks. They do that kind of stuff all the time, and they would love to help you out with that. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. All right, Beck, take it or leave it.
All right, an abbreviated edition here of Take It or Leave It. We'll start with the first one. Gonzaga coach Mark Few was not very happy that the Jumbotron at the game that he was at Gonzaga's game continually showed updates from the Oakland, Kentucky game, which of course Oakland ended up winning, saying we don't need that. It's the NCAA tournament. These kids are involved. It's the biggest game of their lives. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. That's stupid.
Okay, but I thought the same thing when I first read it. When I first saw the headline, I read the beginning of it. I'm like, this is dumb. They're obviously going to show updates of a possible upset, especially with a 3 seed involved. But they mentioned in the article that there were so many fans of the game that it was during play they would show these updates, and the fans would go crazy. So like there was one instance where a guy from McNeese was shooting free throws, and the fans just erupted and exploded and freaked out because of something that was happening on the Jumbotron while he was shooting free throws. And then it also happened during play where they were just that would happen. And I kind of understand where he's coming from, though.
It's a live sporting event. It's not like they're putting it on the backboard so the players are getting distracted by it. Like, it's just they're fans, they're cheering, they're doing stuff. It's fine. There's a lot of games going on. They got to get people to the games. You need updates. People are gambling on the games. They need the scores. Just run them up there on the Jumbotron. It's fine. Mark, you chill out. You've been to the Sweet 16 400 years in a row. You're probably going to go again. So, just chill. It's cool.
All right, last one here. Tennessee rolled in their tournament opener. The Vols are national title good. Take it or leave it.
I will take it.
I will as well.
Look, Rick Barnes is under some heat in Knoxville, not because he doesn't have a great program. He does. Because of this month and this tournament. He just hasn't quite gotten there. Now, they had a decent run last year. They got some breaks, and they played some lower-level teams that had upset some of the better teams. But that's what's missing here is a run. I don't even think – the Vols fans really want a national championship, but I think they would be okay if they just got to the Final Four, which this team is – and the other teams they've had, those Grant Williams teams were every bit good enough to get to the Final Four, and they just haven't made those runs, and more often than not, they've lost in that first weekend. So they're just craving a little bit deeper run, and this team's got everything you could want. They've got size. They've got guard play. They're old. They've got talent. They've got a pro in Dalton Connect. Like, they've got every piece that you would want to have, and they played awesome last night. So, yeah, they are national title good. You know who else is national title good?
Who?
UConn.
They are very good.
Crushing Stetson by 20-something points. It might be up to 30 points now. That's to be expected. That's my national championship pick. They're clearly the best team.
Going back-to-back is not easy, huh?
It is not.
It hasn't happened in a while.
Is it a better plan to go chalk for a national championship to win a bracket, or is it a better plan to go off the radar and take like a 4 seed and see if you can't get lucky?
I see. I was wondering about that too, and so I went back and looked at the last like 10 years and what seeds made the Final Four.
Yeah.
And in the last few years, there's been a lot of high seeds that have made the Final Four, and of course, there's always at least one seed, usually 2.
Right.
And then of course, it's always going to be at least 1, 2, or 3 seed as well. But last few years, it's been very not chalky. So I think the parity in college basketball now is a little bit different in terms of these teams that have to get transfers, and so it's different now, I think.
UAB and San Diego State in a real tight one with a minute and a half to go in that one. It's a 1-point game. San Diego State leads. I can't tell if I can see. Yeah, I see Eric Gaines. I'd notice that frame anywhere. He's on the left
out there.
wing. He's out there.
He's had a decent game.
Good. That's awesome. I love Aaron Gaines. He was really fun to watch. Not the best shooter I've ever seen,
No.
but a freak athlete who was really fun to watch. So there's a tight one there in March Madness. 30-8 is the score. UConn is all over Stetson. So that'll do it for us here on a Friday, presented by Corks. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, as well as on YouTube. We open up the show 3 straight guests. Patrick White, right on women's basketball. Better catch that one in a hurry because it's a preview of this weekend, which starts in about 20 minutes. Preston Guy on football, Krista Mui on baseball, and we certainly appreciate Nick Delatorre for jumping on to talk Florida at 2:30. That's it for us. I'm fired up to get to the box. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend, but we'll react to it on Monday, same time, same place. Matt's going to drive you home. Have a great weekend. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile.